And welcome everybody to round 17, Japan 2018 Formula One World Championship season with myself, Simos, and Fabio.
Yes.
And we're here after Japan. It's been another fantastic race for which we're not going to talk about tyres or team tactics or Verstappen. But apart from that, it was a fantastic race. Yeah, lap one, Lewis from pole went into the lead. Pretty much didn't look back. That was the race. Everybody behind him either fell off or ran into somebody several times. So that was my account of the Suzuka Grand Prix. Fabio, what did you think happened?
I mean, Lewis basically, he just sealed the championship, I think. Snow. I mean, arithmetically, it's still open, but I mean, it's gone. So yeah, but it was a bizarre Grand Prix, really boring in the front, in the front row, for Lewis. But it was quite interesting because of what happened in the background. So yeah. And even on Saturday, some really funny shit happened, apparently.
Yeah, I mean, it's very uncharacteristic of Ferrari, of course, to make this many mistakes in one weekend. What's going on there? What do you think's going on?
Well, starting from Saturday, I mean, honest to God, on Saturday, I have no idea what they were thinking. I think that they tried. I don't know. I mean, my suspicion was that before the start of the final qualifying, there was some rain coming, and they were thinking that was the rain coming in. So I mean, they tried that move, which I mean, in hindsight, was a very stupid move. It's always really difficult. I mean, you got to be there to really understand what the fuck is going on sometimes. But I think that they just played that card because they knew that they had very little chances of getting the pole. So they said, you know what? I mean, you got to give it a shot. And the shot didn't pay off, of course, as we saw. So, I mean, I don't know. I would rather see people trying that, not doing anything. And sometimes when you try too hard, you either are a hero or a zero, And in that case, it was a big fat zero, which happened. But
yeah, I would concur. I don't think it was such a big mistake that people made it out to be. I think they were throwing the dice a little, and if it had have started raining on even a third of the track, then there was a chance that they would have got both got the whole of the front row. And if not, then if there's a bit of rain, they still don't do too badly, and probably still end up in the top five. So probably worth the throw of the dice there.
Oh yeah, I mean, at that point, already that you are at a disadvantage, in other areas, be it the car or the driver or whatever. So you just try it, and yeah,
right. So, I mean, this all seems to have happened since Monza, and do we think that this is because the Ferrari's electrical power was somehow curtailed, or do we think that Mercedes have just done a better job in overtaking Ferrari?
I've read about that. I don't honestly think that, and I also saw the video that you sent me. There've been some rumors about the fact that the way that the batteries are managed by Ferrari. Well, the rumor was that the federation, even if they say it's not illegal, they kind of told Ferrari, you better not do that. That's in a very nutshell. I don't think that's the case. Honestly, I don't. I think that the fact that the Ferrari went really down from Monza and then Hockenheim and all the stuff. It's the concurring causes which brought to this result. I think they the Sebastian is not as focused as it should be. Even when he tried to overtake Verstappen in Suzuka, I'm sure that if he tries 10 times, he will succeed 9 times out of 10, in the same spot. The thing is that it wasn't really necessary to do the overtake in that spot. Verstappen car was regenerating the power, so he had used all the electric power. So and there was a straight after that, so it would have been easily overtaken, Verstappen, but he had to try that one. I mean, I can't really blame the guy for trying, because he said well, he said, I saw a chance, and I'm here to drive, and I'm here to take those chances. The thing is that I don't think he's really focused. Again, I'm quite sure that if he tries 10 times, 9 times out of 10, he will succeed in doing that. I mean, we know Vettel is able to do that kind of overtaking, but it seems to me that when it rains, it pours. So it's
I think you're being a bit optimistic. I think it's a 50-50 there, even if you've got extra speed on the guy, just because the cornering speed there is like 140 miles an hour, so there's no room, and for 2 cars in there as well. But
I mean, he should have known that Verstappen took
not without the second driver complying, and which all of the other drivers that he overtook there, they all complied.
Yeah,
and they got out his way. So I think he was a bit fooled by how easy he got past the other cars. When he came up to Verstappen, he thought, well, I can do the same thing to Verstappen, not realizing that Verstappen doesn't have a Ferrari in the back of his car, so he's not going to get out of the way. Again, poor decision from Vettel, I'm afraid. Wow. Okay, we got some strange sounds going on here. Could you just reload or something for me? Yeah, it's like a super robot. But you're making more sense than normal. I'm sure Fabio will be right back while he's away. So yeah, I think Vettel threw the game away, unfortunately, and has made yet another more mistakes than I've seen him make in a long time. And that tends to be how he operates. He tends to, once he gets his head down a little, it does go down quite a lot. So anyway, would you like to just test?
Yeah. Is it better?
Yeah. Yeah, perfect.
So yeah, I mean, I agree with you. He should have known that, Verstappen took that corner as if nobody was there. That's another thing. But it's Verstappen, he knows that. So yeah. Again, I think he lost a little bit of focus. It's not as lucid, straight thinking as he is. We know he's that kind of driver, but he just lost the way a little bit. And as far you said before about the engine, I don't think that the scenario I said before about FIA saying Ferrari, listen, it's not illegal, but you better. I don't think that's the case. I have my strong suspicions against that. I think that Mercedes did a better job overall. They found a good balance, and they have improved the car way better than Ferrari did. So I think it's just a case of improving the package overall. And Mercedes at the end of the season made a better job than Ferrari. So.
Yeah, I would agree. I would actually agree wholeheartedly and say, yes, I do think it's down to car balance and tyre preservation on the Mercedes now. They seem to have got the most out of it, whereas Ferrari seems to have taken a step back. It was noticeable that Ferrari did suffer from blistering rear tyres at Suzuka early on I think it was free practice 1, for which they then changed. It might be free practice 2, for which they then changed the setup, and obviously that's what they're struggling with. So I would concur. I think Mercedes have done an excellent job in trying to sort their car out to preserve the tyres, and they've really got on top of it. So kudos to them. and I think the more that happened, and the more Mercedes got on top of it, the more desperate Sebastian felt. And when he's desperate in a car, that's when he makes mistakes. So yeah.
Well, I mean, to be fair, every driver is like that. You know,
Yeah.
I wouldn't blame exclusively on Sebastian. I mean, we saw Lewis. You know, when he lost the championship with Rosberg, he wasn't the happiest person on the grid.
Yeah.
We've seen, you know, with Webber before. You know,
Well,
Richard is here. You know, it's frustrating for a driver. You know,
yeah,
nobody's there.
Of course it is. Of course it is. But that's when Sebastian makes mistakes. You know, whereas Lewis doesn't make mistakes. He just doesn't, you know, throw it in as much as he used to. He just loses a bit of motivation, shall we say? So
Yeah.
you know, that's a bit of a difference. And you know, and again, I mean, I'm just saying that you know, and you may think it's every Formula One driver. To me, it's Sebastian's weakness, and that's why you know he keeps losing championships. Is because he doesn't have this ability to you know, to pull a car up and make the most of it. You know, he's got to have the car first, and then he'll drive it to victory, no doubt about it. And he's very good at doing that. But what he can't do is take a car which is last place and put it halfway up the grid, like Verstappen's been showing he's been able to do in the past. And that's quite strange, considering you know Sebastian made his name doing that almost.
Yeah.
So, but maybe it was false flattery in some ways, which is what I said about that Italian Grand Prix last time we mentioned it.
We got to see. I mean, I don't know because you know there's some people that they might say, oh yeah, it's easier if you are in front because you know then the other guys got the pressure. Some other persons you know will say, no, it's more difficult if you are in front because you have got all the pressure of all the other guys. It's really. I mean, I found that it really depends on the person, on the single driver, what's going on with the team at the time. You know, it's a set of circumstances which they might cause problems or not. You know, and the fact that you know that the development of the car wasn't as good as the car was at the beginning. I think that's part of the problem. The fact that they made some huge mistakes in giving team orders and stuff like that, like the one that would happen in Monza, it's another part of the problem. I mean, there are several problems they got to figure out, but it all adds, to problem, and it's one of those cases where the sum is greater than the total is greater than the sum, So yeah, there is that, but yeah, we'll see.
Yeah. Okay. A few casual mentions then. Leclerc. It is Leclerc.
Mm-hmm.
How do we feel he did? How do you feel? I thought it was he could have done better this race. This is the first race I've seen him slightly off pace.
He could have done better. I mean, well, he crashed into Magnussen. I think that was the biggest problem. He broke the car after that, and also when the safety car was on the track, his teammate thought about crashing into him. So yeah, I mean, he could have done better. I would say that it would probably have done better if people refraining from crashing into him. We would never know. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I know. I genuinely thought it was Magnussen's fault. I mean,
it was totally Magnussen's fault. I mean, Magnussen. If I were Magnussen, I would hire a bodyguard right now going on track. I mean, if he had friends, now he's not. That guy's.
Yeah, I'm not sure he does have friends, but we'll see. If he did have a friend at Ferrari, that friend is probably leaving next year.
Yes.
So never mind. But we'll see how that goes. Grosjean, I just wanted to mention Grosjean. He seems to jump out of the way every time a Ferrari comes near him. So he's obviously learning how to be a Formula One driver.
Yes.
and that's good news because he's been pretty bad.
Yeah, he probably learned from Perez and Ocon. They had a meeting with those
Yeah.
guys. So yeah, that's how you have to do, right?
Now, speaking of which, that brings me to Perez, and I think this is going to be the biggest problem for me is that he should be fired and Ocon should have his place. No doubt about it. Don't know what Perez is still doing in Formula One, but he's had too many years where he's been a bit careless, as far as I can see.
Yeah.
And I think his time's up, really. If he didn't bring, I think it's about 30 million, I'm sure he wouldn't have had a drive for the last few years.
You know, there was a saying in MotoGP that used to say that until a rider crashes and hurts himself really bad, they will never learn what really means. You know, what is the difference between an aggressive race and a crazy race? The thing is that in F1, usually when you crash hard, you hurt yourself a lot. I mean, a lot. You don't break your finger like it might happen with motorcycles. So, and that's the thing is the problem right now with Perez. If he hasn't learned by now, he will never learn. So I totally agree with you. That guy is hopeless.
It's time. But you know, again, we'll just have to see what happens next year, whether they need the money or not at Force India, and you know exactly what his deal is, whether how much he's going to bring to the team. So hopefully, if you know if Stroll's there buying the team, then there might be a chance for Ocon. You never know. I mean, I rate Ocon extremely highly, but then I also rated Wehrlein as well, and look what happened to him. So never mind. But, we'll see.
Yeah. Okay. So it's your fault. That's what he's saying. You suck at picking drivers.
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay, cool.
I would definitely have Martin Brundle as one of my drivers in any team. So yeah, and David Coulthard, probably those two together. But yeah, which reminds me of a time that David Coulthard crashed twice on warm-up laps. I think they had a warm-up lap. He crashed. He caught up with the back, and then they had a false start. So there was another warm-up lap, and he crashed at that as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, great driver. Great driver. It's only in hindsight that I respect him so much, actually, because you know clearly he had a long career in Formula One, so he must have been thought of very highly internally as a test driver, at least. Anyway.
Yeah, I don't know. I've never been a big fan of Coulthard, but so yeah, I never followed the guy really closely. I never kind of liked the guy, so yeah. But it's just me. Yeah.
And he always seemed very unlucky, but during his career, anyway, that's what I remember. And he always had a really decent driver he was paired with, so never got that much of a chance. But anyway, moving on.
Yeah.
Is there anybody else in the current year that you'd like to mention, or?
Well, you know, about the last race, I felt really bad for Ricciardo. Jesus Christ, made that guy. I think he wants to punch somebody or something in the face. It was really bad. So, and what else? Renault sucks balls.
Renault sucks balls. Yeah.
Yeah, it's bloody insane.
Again,
yes. Well, you know, they haven't stopped sucking balls.
Well, there was the one year that they had Kimi before he went to Ferrari, right?
Yeah.
And that was the year they didn't suck balls so much.
Yeah.
You know, hey, what can you say? I hope that his return to from Ferrari to another team will at least give him some chances.
Well, you know, it's going to be interesting for Sauber next year. You know,
very.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know what else. I have no idea what we can talk about. I mean, the things are done. The circuit is brilliant. I love the circuit. It's an old one.
What are we talking about?
About the track. The track is brilliant. I love the track.
Suzuka. Yeah. Yes. Oh yeah. Suzuka is a class track.
It's beautiful. It's really beautiful.
Yeah, always difficult because it's a power circuit so it doesn't throw up the best races in the world, and there isn't much overtaking room around there. But it is a beautiful track to race on. The drivers do love it, and that alone makes it worthwhile because they're always pushing and they're always on the limit, you know. So it's nice to see the cars like that.
Yeah. So what else? I don't know.
Well, I think, as you said, the championship is pretty much there now.
Yeah.
You know, we're just now waiting for dotting the T's, crossing the I's, or the other way around, of course. And so, yeah, congratulations, I think, to Lewis. All he's really got to do is just keep putting in some performances, and he'll get there sooner or later.
Yeah.
It would be nice because he is a specialist at USA, so it would be nice to see him do it there.
Yeah, I mean, basically the only thing he has to do is not die. That's what he has to do. So yeah.
and even then, I think they'll probably give it to him. So
yeah, probably. I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, that's how it is. But yeah.
Oh, well, one thing is, because Alexander wrote on the side chat, you know, something about what I said before, that people, you know, they usually, what I said before about crashing, you know, and he said, you know, they went through karts, Formula 3 and 2, they know what it is to crash. It is true, but I mean, F1 is a totally different animal. It's in a league of its own. And some things that you can do with lesser cars, like, you know, in GP or whatever, you can't really do with an F1. I mean, reaction times, the speed by which everything happens is so much different that it's really a different animal. But I see his point. I understand his point.
Yeah, and again, I think the newer drivers like you know, Grosjean, Leclerc, they've never had to put up with the imminent danger of death every time you put your foot down, you know. So you know, that's going to make them less cautious. And Perez especially was known for being ultra aggressive at the beginning of his career, and wanting to prove that he wasn't just another rookie. And he almost had a chance. I think he was at Sauber for a while and did very well there. So, you know, he started making his mark, but for some reason, he didn't manage to sign for Mercedes. And let's face it, that was the only team that was worth signing for.
Yes. Yeah, I would agree with you in the last years. I mean, unless you want to make something, you know, spectacular, but not getting too much traction, you're right.
Yeah. Well, I think Alonso did that for as long as he could before he got bored. So, you know, we'll see.
Yeah, Alonso got bored. Yeah.
Well, bored with coming second. He'd much rather come 10th or 11th, obviously.
Alonso, listen, I don't know exactly how it went, but I know one thing for sure, that even if it was Alonso's decision to leave, that even if that was the case, even if that was how it went, that decision, Alonso took it a split second before being kicked out, you know, from the team. So
yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, it's oh no, I'm leaving, bye-bye, I'm leaving. Yeah, because, you know, there is people looking for you to throw you out of the window, so you better leave. And yeah, so I think that was how it happened. But
it may well have happened that way. I'm not convinced about it. I think the fact that he had the Honda deal to go to was enough to make him persuade him away from you know, trying to stay one more year, you know, which I think he could have done. I don't think Ferrari were in a position to get rid of him immediately because they didn't have Vettel as a replacement straight away. So that deal had yet to be done, I seem to remember. So, but anyway, either way, you know, he is a prophet in Formula One terms, and they still haven't won. So I think it's shown that yeah, it's shown that it didn't matter. He could have gone anywhere and the result would be the same.
Yeah, I mean, judging from his last year's career, I think that McLaren might do good next year.
Yeah.
I mean, when he left Ferrari and Ferrari started rising back again, I mean, now he's leaving McLaren. They might have a chance of, you know, doing something better.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe, yeah.
Okay, so that's very good. So, well done again to Lewis. I think he drove a near perfect race. So even if Seb had been on his game that day, he still would have had a battle. The other thing is now we're heading to USA.
Mm-hmm.
2 weeks, as you said earlier to me. Thank you.
21st of October, yes.
Oh, okay, good. So yeah, a couple of weeks, and this is one of Lewis's specialty tracks.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm expecting more of the same.
Oh yeah, I think so. I mean, yeah, I think that Mercedes will have to. I mean, they have to try to win. They have to close the deal for sure. It might be interesting to see what other cars are doing. I mean, there's some teams which they're still fighting. Like I can't remember, but the fight for the third and fourth place, in the constructor championship is still going on.
Still open.
Yeah. Sauber wants to go ahead of us. I mean, there is a lot of money involved, so that might be interesting. Right now, I mean, the last four races, they might be way more interesting to see what happens in the background rather than on the front. Unless Ferrari or some other people decide to say, okay, fuck it, we're going to try some things for next year, which is going to be tough because the rules are going to change. So I don't really know what you can try which can go in next year car. So there is that too, but we'll see.
Yeah, I would agree. I think there's not a lot to be doing now in terms of all the development you do on this car is kind of wasted now.
Yeah.
I think obviously the teams will run down. I mean, Mercedes had planned that this was going to be a close championship, so they've planned bits for the next few races. So I can't see why they wouldn't deliver those to the car. But so I would expect Lewis to keep pulling away now, and Ferrari just to switch its attention to next year's car straight away, almost. So,
yeah, maybe that's the case. I don't know. I mean, yeah, they have to. One of the things they might want to do is to figure out some things which have happened in the team. Strategically, from a strategic point of view, and work out some things which they just cracked a little bit on the last race. So that might be a good thing. There is also the other thing. We got still to see how many engines Honda is going to break by the end of the season. In theory, they can still break 8 engines because 4 races, 2 cars. They might still go, for 8 engines to break, which is good. And yeah,
I think that might be quite interesting to see which manufacturers start bringing more engines now the championship's lost, as it were. Where the Ferrari go, actually, we've got another 3 engine updates before the end of the year. Otherwise, it would have been on the car by now, of course. But nonetheless, it would be funny if that were to happen.
Yeah.
And then the other thing is, of course, whether Ferrari decide to put it is Leclerc into the car before the end of the season. Do you think that's a likely situation or not?
I don't know. I don't know if they can do that. I mean, I think if they find some kind of agreement, they might do that. From personal experience, I see that to be something really difficult. Not because they would not be able to find an agreement for the drivers or the teams, but there is also the sponsors involved. So
Sure.
I don't know. That might be a little bit tricky. They might be able to pull it off. They might, because of the visibility that they will get, even for the sponsors. So I don't know. That could be really interesting. That would be great.
Yeah, I can't see why they wouldn't, unless there's something in Kimi's contract that says he has to drive the Ferrari. So that's the only thing that I could see. And maybe they don't want to pay Kimi any more money.
Well, there's also the fact that we said before, Sauber is actually fighting with us right now. So I don't know if in the rules there is something which says against that, because I mean, if it were us, I would not want to have Kimi on a car which they can beat me in the championship. So I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing in the rules about that. You can swap drivers, and the points still count towards the championship, as far as I'm aware.
Yeah, I mean, as I said, I don't know. I mean, the rule book has become so Byzantine that I wouldn't rule it out. But so
yeah, okay. Okay, well, again, you know, it's been one of those again. So as we head towards the end of the season, maybe we've been robbed a little bit, but nonetheless, I don't think Sebastian will take it lying down, and I think he will be trying all the races till the end of the year. So all we can do is hope that we get some really great racing.
yes.
And other than that, I think we'll wait for the next time, 2 weeks' time, USA, one of the highlight Grand Prix of the year, as far as I'm concerned. So let's all just sit back and enjoy what should be a cracking race.
Yes.
Okay, thank you, everybody. Say ciao.
Ciao, ciao.